There is a stillness in you that cannot be disturbed, a place untouched by fear, unshaken by chaos, and immune to the noise of the world. It has no name, yet it knows everything. It has no shape, yet it holds the shape of your peace. It is not your mind, for your mind is loud. It is not your emotions, for your emotions are waves. It is not your body, for the body withers and bends to time. It is the part of you that watches quietly, lovingly, unmoved. And in that watching, there is power. We spend most of our lives reacting to what was said, to what wasn't said, to the look someone gave, to the news flashing across our screens, to the stories we carry like old, worn clothes, too heavy to wear, but too familiar to take off. We live at the mercy of our interpretations, our wounds, our replays of the past, and projections of the future. We live, but we do not watch. We act, but we do not see. To watch is not to detach from life, it is to arrive fully in it. It is to stop being dragged by the stream of every emotion and every judgment. It is to sit at the edge of the river and say, there it is again, the fear, the anger, the memory, the story, and then let it flow. The ego is a brilliant but frantic storyteller. It cannot live in the present moment because the present moment exposes its illusions. It thrives on reaction because it feeds on control. The ego needs your agreement. It needs your reactivity to survive. But your soul does not need to prove itself. It simply is. It observes without trying to fix. It accepts without needing to justify. It loves without asking to be loved back. Being the watcher is not an escape, it is the return. When you become the watcher, you are no longer the puppet of your past. You are no longer the hostage of your triggers. You begin to see that the anger is not you, it is an energy that passes through. The grief is not you, it is a wave that visits, not a house you must live in. The fear is not you, it is a voice, not your truth. There is a sacred gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap is where you reclaim your life. That gap is where the watcher lives. You are not your reactions. You are the awareness beneath them. You are not your thoughts. You are the spaciousness that notices them arise and fall. You are not the chaos. You are the calm watching the chaos. And when you remember this, you become free. Freedom doesn't come when the world is silent. It comes when you can hear the noise and choose not to be it. It comes when you can feel the heat of anger and not throw it. When you can taste the sting of offense and not become offended. When you can sit in the storm of opinion and not get swept away by any of it. There is no greater strength than presence. To be present is to live beyond reaction. It is to let go of the idea that everything demands your emotional involvement. It is to allow people to be who they are without needing to correct them. It is to hear a criticism and not make it your identity. It is to receive praise and not build your worth upon it. Presence is not passive, it is alert, grounded, alive. The watcher is not distant. The watcher is compassionate. It sees clearly because it does not cling. It understands deeply because it listens without defense. It acts with power because it does not act from fear. You see, when you become the watcher, life softens. Not because life changes, but because you do. The same situations arise, but they no longer own you. The same people trigger the same old patterns, but now you recognize them as patterns, not as truth. You stop bleeding into every moment. You stop needing everything to validate your sense of self. You return to your inner sanctuary, the place where your soul sits with open hands and a quiet smile, knowing that all things are passing clouds. You cannot stop the world from shouting, but you can stop yourself from echoing it. Buddha once said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." And how often we let our own reactivity become the very suffering we try to avoid. We mistake reaction for power, but reaction is bondage. Reaction is the ego's way of staying alive. True power is in the pause. True power is in the breath that says, I see you, emotion, but I do not belong to you. The watcher doesn't suppress, it doesn't deny, it simply sees, and in seeing, it liberates. Watch yourself when you're offended. Who is it that feels so injured? Is it your soul, or is it an identity you've built, now threatened by someone else's opinion? Watch your defensiveness. Who is it defending? The truth needs no defense. The ego, however, is always on guard. Watch your craving for validation. Who is it that wants to be seen? The infinite spirit within you is already seen. It is seen by the entire universe. There is nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to fix to be enough. Nothing you need to hold on to be safe. The watcher knows this. The reactor forgets. Let your breath be your teacher. When it quickens, when it shortens, when it tightens, that is the moment to return. That is the moment to step out of the role and back into the witness. Each inhale is a choice. Each exhale is a letting go. The more you breathe consciously, the more you become aware. And awareness is the birthplace of all transformation. When you are the watcher, you stop needing life to behave the way you want it to. You stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that people be different to make you happy. You stop controlling what was never yours to control. And in this surrender, you find peace not as an achievement, but as your original nature. Peace is not something you chase. Peace is what remains when you stop reacting. So many of us live on the edge of offense. We're ready to be hurt, ready to be insulted, ready to be outraged. We've trained ourselves to scan for threat, not physical threat, but psychological threat. Someone disagrees with us and we feel erased. Someone rejects us and we feel unworthy. But what if none of it was personal? What if every offense is an invitation to awaken? You are not what others say to you. You are what you choose to hear. Let people misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away if they must. The watcher does not flinch. The watcher knows that the truth doesn't need to chase anything. The truth just is. And if someone cannot see you, that does not make you invisible. If someone rejects you, that does not make you invalid. You are not here to be understood. You are here to understand. The moment you stop needing to react, you begin to live. You begin to notice the small joys, the way the sunlight touches the leaves, the pause between two heartbeats, the sacred silence after a deep breath. These are the spaces where the divine speaks, but you must be still enough to hear. And stillness does not mean inactivity. Stillness is presence. It is clarity. It is the quiet power of a soul unbothered by the noise. You have nothing to defend, no argument to win, no ego to preserve. You have only the opportunity in every moment to return to the watcher within. So next time you feel the rise of reaction, pause, breathe, watch. You are not the storm. You are the sky. The sky does not tremble when clouds pass through it. It does not cling to the rain or resist the lightning. It allows, it witnesses, it remains. And so must you. Your true self, the eternal witness, has never been broken, never been threatened, never been less than whole. It is only the ego that flinches, that crumbles, that begs for validation in the eyes of others. The soul simply watches and waits, knowing the truth is never in the noise. Every time you choose to observe rather than react, you are retraining your consciousness. You are shifting the gravity of your identity from the external to the internal, from fear to love, from protection to presence. You become like the ocean, watching its own waves rise and fall, but never mistaking the waves for its essence. The turbulence no longer defines you. The stillness beneath becomes your home. There is a moment brief but sacred when awareness interrupts a habit. That moment is a portal to liberation. A chance to say, I see it, I've been here before, but this time I choose differently. And in that subtle shift, your entire life begins to change. Not because the world softens, but because you no longer harden in its presence. You stop armoring up every time someone looks at you the wrong way. You stop bracing for judgment. You begin to live unclenched, wide open, deeply rooted, and profoundly present. And isn't that what true power is? To be unshakable, not because you dominate, but because you no longer need to defend. To be calm in the midst of fire. To be kind without condition. To be aware of the storm and yet centered in your stillness. This is the life of the awakened. Not free of conflict, but free of entanglement. Not void of feeling, but void of control by those feelings. When you stop reacting, you begin seeing. You see the other person not as an enemy, but as a mirror. You see your anger not as a truth, but as a message. You see your triggers as teachers. You see life not as a series of attacks, but as a series of invitations to evolve. You begin to understand that everything that once made you flinch is here to make you free. The reactive self is a prisoner of the past. It is stitched together by old wounds, unconscious stories, and inherited beliefs. It's constantly trying to protect something, a fragile image, a constructed identity, a false sense of self. But the watcher knows there is nothing to protect because the soul is not a character. The soul cannot be injured by opinion, it cannot be destroyed by loss, it cannot be undone by time. You are not your conditioning, you are not your defense mechanisms, you are not the fight or flight impulse that flares up when things don't go your way. You are the one who sees it all. And in seeing it all, you are no longer owned by any of it. Have you ever felt the weight of a reaction coming, the anger bubbling, the heart racing, the story forming, and then you paused, you breathed, you watched, and just like that, the charge softened. That is presence. That is awakening. That is what it means to remember yourself in the heat of forgetting. It's not about never feeling triggered. It's about no longer being tricked into believing those triggers define you. It's not about being a stone cold and unfeeling. It's about being a mountain still and grounded, even as the winds howl around you. You see, the more you watch without reacting, the more you begin to trust life again. You realize that not every comment needs a comeback. Not every situation demands your opinion. Not every disagreement is a battlefield. You stop entering every interaction with armor. You stop needing the last word. You begin to understand that silence can be the loudest answer. That stillness can be the most powerful presence. And in that space, that holy space between what happened and how you choose to respond, a miracle occurs. The miracle of self-possession, of divine clarity, of peace that cannot be disturbed by anything outside of you. You no longer live from habit, you live from intention. You begin to meet life with eyes open, heart soft, and soul steady. The reactive mind is always chasing approval, chasing control, chasing an identity it can hold on to. But the watcher knows there is nothing to chase when you already are. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be fully awake in yourself. To be so deeply rooted in your presence that even if the world misreads you, misunderstands you, misjudges you, you stay true. Truth needs no audience. Presence needs no applause. The divine in you needs no permission. And so I invite you, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment, to pause. Let the breath remind you of the eternal now. Let the silence return you to the sacred watcher. Let the witness within you rise. And from that space, observe. Observe your thoughts without clinging. Observe your emotions without dramatizing. Observe your life without rushing to fix, correct, or judge. This is not the end of your spiritual path. This is the beginning. Because when you become the watcher, everything changes. Not by force, but by frequency. You stop vibrating at the level of the problem and begin rising into the solution. You stop looking for healing in others and start embodying it within yourself. You stop playing the role of the victim or the hero and simply become real. And in your realness, your grounded, divine, conscious presence, you begin to heal not just yourself, but everyone you touch. Not through preaching, not through trying, but simply through being. Being the space, being the peace, being the clarity in a world addicted to confusion. You are not here to be tossed around by life. You are here to be the still point, the silent flame, the breath between the chaos. And you'll know when you found this place, not because life gets easier, but because you stop collapsing in front of it. Your center becomes unshakable. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Your love becomes unconditional. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. And from this space, my friend, everything becomes possible. When you no longer live at the mercy of your reactions, you step into the rarest kind of power, the power of inner authority. Not dominance, not superiority, but sovereignty of the soul. You're no longer pulled by every emotional wind, no longer yanked into battles that aren't yours. You become a space of presence that others can feel but cannot disturb. You begin to hear the world, not just through your ears, but through your spirit. Someone may yell, and you hear their pain. Someone may judge, and you hear their fear. Someone may try to provoke, and you sense their longing for love. The watcher sees this, not to become better than anyone, but to remember none of it is about you. And what a relief that is. What a deep, cleansing sigh for the soul to know you are not responsible for the storms in other people's skies. You are only responsible for whether you bring your umbrella or your sunshine, whether you enter their storm or remain the calm that invites them into clarity. To live as the watcher is not to become indifferent, it's to become deeply compassionate without losing yourself. Compassion doesn't require you to abandon your peace. In fact, real compassion flows from peace. When you react, you join others in their suffering. But when you watch, you become the mirror that reflects something higher. You say without words, you don't have to live like that. There's another way. And when you live this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to radiate peace. Not the kind that looks peaceful on the outside, but simmers with resentment underneath. Not the kind that avoids conflict by shrinking. No, this is the peace that walks into any room and changes its atmosphere. The peace that speaks without words. The peace that silences chaos just by being. Because when you are no longer at war with yourself, the world cannot drag you into battle. You stop arguing with reality. You stop trying to edit the universe to match your preferences. You stop needing the moment to be anything other than what it is. And in that surrender, you don't become passive, you become present. You take action, not from desperation, but from alignment. You speak, not to defend, but to express love. You listen, not to prepare your reply, but to understand with your whole being. This is how the soul moves. Gently, powerfully, without rush, and oh, how the world needs more of this. More beings who don't crumble at conflict, who don't lose themselves trying to win approval, who aren't addicted to proving they're right. The world is loud with reactions. Be the one who is quiet with understanding. Be the one who slows down when others speed up. Be the one who chooses grace when the ego demands retaliation. There is a river inside you that has never stopped flowing. Even when you were tangled in your thoughts, even when you believed the voice of fear, even when you reacted with anger, shame, or pride, that river was always there, steady, ancient, divine. It is your true nature. The watcher lives there. The soul drinks from it. And your freedom begins the moment you return to its banks. So when you feel yourself being pulled into the story, the fight, the trigger, the need to explain, the craving to be seen, pause. Let the breath return you. Let your awareness remind you. Let the watcher reclaim the moment. Because life isn't about avoiding the waves, it's about learning to surf them with awareness. It's about realizing that no matter what chaos dances across the surface, The depths of who you are remain unmoved. That is your home. That is your truth. That is the part of you that has never been hurt, never been lost, never been less than divine. And when you live from that place, when your identity is rooted not in ego, but in soul, then your presence becomes medicine. You don't have to fix everyone. You don't have to save the world. You don't even have to change anyone's mind. Just be what you are when you're not reacting. Light, calm, truth, stillness. That is enough. More than enough. That is the invitation you offer the world. Come sit with me in this silence and remember who you are. And if they do, beautiful. And if they don't, you continue walking, not in pride, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the watcher walks with grace. And grace, my friend, is the only power that doesn't need to shout. The watcher walks with grace, not because it is immune to pain, but because it no longer mistakes pain for identity. It has learned the sacred art of presence, not as a performance, but as a remembrance. To watch is to love without possession, to listen without preparing to speak, to live without the weight of needing everything to be different in order to be okay. And when you live like this, when you truly become the watcher, the need to be understood falls away. You no longer plead with the world to see you, to validate you, to applaud your efforts. You know that to be seen by the divine within you is more than enough. You feel the presence of the infinite, not as something to chase, but as something that never left. Something that was always whispering beneath your reaction. You are not this storm. You are the sky. It passes through. And in this realization, you soften. You stop bracing for impact. You stop rehearsing pain. You stop living from the haunted echoes of what if and what was. You rest not in exhaustion, but in awakening. You stop trying to control what's never been yours, and instead surrender to the stillness that has always been home. You forgive yourself for every time you believe the lie that you were only as worthy as your performance, only as loved as your usefulness, only as safe as your defenses. You forgive yourself for the times you reacted, for the times you fell into fear, for the times you said what your soul never meant, not because it was right, but because you are ready to be free. Forgiveness, too, is an act of watching, of saying, yes, I see the wound, but I also see who I truly am beyond it. And then something quiet but life-altering begins to happen. You stop waiting for permission to be at peace. You stop postponing joy until circumstances align. You stop bargaining with life. If this happens, then I'll feel whole. No. Wholeness is now, peace is now, God is now. Everything you've been chasing while reacting was always sitting silently in the sanctuary of your awareness. The watcher knows that time is not the answer, presence is. You don't need another year to become what your soul already is. You don't need more proof, more agreement, more applause. You need only this breath, this stillness, this radical return to the center that has never abandoned you. And this is not a theory, this is an embodiment. When you embody the watcher, your life becomes less about performance and more about presence. You start speaking less and saying more. You start needing less and feeling fuller. You begin walking through the world with a softness that doesn't ask, do you accept me? But instead radiates, I accept myself. And because you accept yourself, others feel safe to do the same in your presence. Your being becomes a sanctuary, your silence becomes sacred. You no longer react to prove your worth, you respond from the overflow of your awareness. That's how the divine speaks. Not to convince, but to awaken. Not to correct, but to reflect. You begin to realize that every trigger was a teacher, and every interruption was an initiation. That the very moments which once made you spiral were not obstacles, they were sacred doorways. Doorways leading you deeper into the witness, deeper into grace, deeper into the stillness that does not flinch, does not fight, and does not fear. And now, you are ready. Not ready to achieve something, not ready to prove anything, but ready to finally live, not from the ego's urgency, but from the soul's timelessness. Ready to meet the day, not as a battle, but as a blessing. Ready to hold space instead of hold grudges. ready to watch your thoughts pass like clouds and realize you are the sky. You always were. The world may still swirl, people may still project, but you now walk as the calm inside the center of it all. And when old reactions try to rise, because they will, you'll meet them with compassion, not condemnation. You'll greet them like old friends with fading power, saying gently, I see you, but I no longer serve you. And in that moment, you will smile, not because life is perfect, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not the fear. You are not the noise. You are not the ego's constant commentary. You are the one who watches all of it and chooses love anyway. So breathe, beloved soul. Breathe and return to this sacred moment, to this steady presence, to this watcher that does not need to win but only needs to witness. Let others shout. Let the world race. Let the noise unfold. You just keep watching. Just keep being, just keep loving, because when you are the watcher, not the reactor, you do not just change your life. You remember that you are life. And life, in its truest form, does not react. It flows, it trusts, it shines, and so do you. We all live in the presence of what we imagine to be an ideal future, and yet, in our fixation on what lies ahead, we often miss the richness, the fullness, the utter magnificence of the present moment. There are many who are consumed with the idea of what they have not yet achieved, of where they are not yet, of what they have not yet experienced. And in this pursuit, they forget the life that is unfolding right in front of them. The truth is, the only life that truly exists is this one, the one happening right now. The future is a mere illusion. It is not a place you arrive at, but a destination made from the thoughts you carry today. If you allow yourself to be entranced by the future, you may find yourself missing the only moment that truly matters, the one you are living right now. Do you understand that the present moment is all there ever is? The future that you chase is a mirage that promises happiness, but it never truly arrives. The only true moment of power is this very second, right now. You are here, breathing, feeling, being, and yet so many of us are looking beyond, yearning for what's next. We race towards some undefined goal, thinking that we will find fulfillment when we reach it, but fulfillment is already available to you in the here and now, if only you open your eyes to it. The ego tells us that we need more achievements, more possessions, more approval. And as we chase these external markers, we forget that the greatest fulfillment lies within. It is not in the future that we will find peace. It is right now in the stillness of our being where we reconnect to the soul, to the divine essence that has always been there. The truth is, you were born into wholeness. The story of your life has always been unfolding, and it will continue to unfold, but only when you stop chasing a future that is perpetually out of reach and begin embracing the beauty of now. I want to remind you of something fundamental. You are not your ego. You are not the achievements you think you need to attain to prove your worth. Your ego will continue to chase after approval, success, recognition, but none of these things can ever define you. When you realize that you are not your ego, you will stop chasing after a future that keeps you bound to the illusion of lack. You will understand that you are already whole. You are already enough. And this understanding will transform your experience of life. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, that you were freed from the need to chase anything. No more measuring yourself against others. No more striving for a future that seems ever elusive. What if, instead of striving, you chose to simply be? You are already everything you seek. It's within you right now. The keys to the kingdom are not hidden in some distant time, but right within your heart in the present moment. When you release the need to chase a future, you align with the truth that you are a divine being, and you stop living in the dream of what could be. You come home to the now to the space where true peace exists. You see, there is great wisdom in the present. In this moment, your life is already unfolding in the way it is meant to. Every breath, every beat of your heart, every thought and every emotion, it is all part of the divine plan that is woven into the fabric of your soul. The future is a projection of your mind, an image shaped by your desires, your fears, your fantasies, but it is not real. The real power, the real magic is in your willingness to be present, to surrender the past, to release the future, and to live in this moment with full awareness. In every moment, the soul whispers to you. The soul does not reside in the future. It is not concerned with what will be, because it knows the deep truth that it is eternal, unchanging, and free. The soul knows that you are not defined by the conditions of your life. You are not limited by your circumstances. The soul speaks in stillness, in presence. It does not demand, it does not chase. It is already whole, already complete, and it invites you to remember this truth. So, I ask you, what is it that you are chasing? What future are you running toward? And when you get there, when you finally reach that elusive destination, will you truly find what you are looking for? Or will you find, as so many before you have, that the future is always moving just out of reach, and by the time you arrive, it will already be yesterday? The future, my friend, is an illusion. It is always tomorrow, never now. In your life, what if you chose to stop chasing and began to simply live? What if you allowed yourself the grace to rest in the present moment? The moment you stop striving, the moment you stop trying to outrun yourself, is the moment you begin to truly live. Life is not a race. It is not a series of milestones you must reach to be worthy. Life is an unfolding journey, and every moment you miss chasing a distant future is a moment you will never get back. You are the author of your life, and you do not need to wait for the perfect future to write your story. You can begin right now. The beauty of the present moment is that it is all you ever need. The world is in constant motion, and yet, here you are, standing still in the vast expanse of time with everything you need to experience peace and fulfillment within you. When you realize this, you stop running. You stop chasing. You stop measuring yourself by what you haven't yet achieved. You begin to see that you are already enough, that you are already whole, and that this moment is where life is truly happening. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment to feel at peace. You don't have to wait until you have more success, more love, more recognition. The fullness you seek is already here, in the now. When you embrace the present, you release the burden of waiting for something outside of you to change. The peace you seek is not found in some distant future, but in the quiet acceptance of this very moment. When you stop chasing the future, you are free to live your life fully. The soul is not concerned with tomorrow. It is concerned only with this moment, this breath, this step. And so, my friend, I invite you to join the soul in this dance of life. Be present. Stop waiting. Stop chasing. The future will come, but it will come on its own terms. It will unfold in its own time, and when it does, you will be ready, not because you spent your days chasing it, but because you spent your days living fully in the now. You are not defined by what you have or have not achieved. You are defined by your capacity to be present, to be whole, to be at peace, and in this peace, all things are possible. When you stop chasing a future, you align with the divine flow of life, and you begin to experience the miracles of the present moment. The future is not a place you get to. It is a series of moments strung together, and every moment you live is a gift. Don't miss your life chasing a future that has not yet arrived. Live now. And in that living, you will discover that you are everything you have ever sought. In this life, the only certainty is the present. And so, my friend, I leave you with this truth. Do not chase a future that will never be. Live in the now. embrace the fullness of the present. For in doing so, you will discover that you are already enough, that you are already whole, and that you are already living the life you have been seeking all along. Let go, be here, be now. As you breathe, you begin to understand the simplicity of the truth. Life is not something you have to force, it is something you flow with. In the dance between your breath and the beating of your heart, there is a harmony that transcends the chaos of the world. It is in the silence between your thoughts, in the stillness between your movements, that you find the deepest connection to your soul. You see, you are not meant to fight life, you are meant to align with it. The more you fight, the more you separate yourself from the peace that is your birthright. But when you release the need to control, the struggle ceases, and the universe begins to work with you, not against you. In this moment of surrender, you start to feel a shift, a subtle yet profound shift. You begin to see yourself not as an individual fighting against the tides, but as an integral part of the vast ocean. The waves come and go, but the ocean remains, unshaken, ever-present, eternal. You are that ocean. The waves of life, joy, pain, success, failure are simply passing moments. They do not define you. What defines you is the essence of your being, the stillness that remains when everything else fades away. Now, let us be clear. This is not to say that life will become easy. The ebb and flow will continue. The challenges will arise. The storm clouds will gather. But when you are aligned with your truth, when you are grounded in the stillness that resides deep within you, nothing can disturb your peace. You will find that even in the midst of the storm, you can remain calm. You will find that the world may spin, but you are anchored. And in this anchoring, there is a wisdom that begins to awaken within you. It is the wisdom of the soul ancient, timeless, and always present. The wisdom that tells you that you are not your circumstances, you are the observer of your circumstances. You are the space in which everything occurs, and in this space there is infinite potential for creation. It is not in the effort that you find your power, but in the surrender. It is in the letting go of the need to control that you discover your true strength. The strength of the soul is not the strength to manipulate or force things into being. It is the strength to trust, to allow, to flow with the current of life. And when you do this, when you release the need to hold on, you will discover that everything you have been searching for has always been here inside of you. You see, the journey is not about becoming something you are not. It is about unbecoming everything that you are not. It is about stripping away the layers of conditioning, the layers of fear, the layers of self-doubt that have been placed upon you by others, by society, and by your own mind. These layers obscure the truth of who you are. But when you release them, when you breathe and let them go, you uncover the radiant being that you have always been. This is the power of realignment, is the power of returning to your true self. The self that was never broken, never lost, never lacking. You have always been whole. You have always been complete. And as you let go of the past, you make room for the future to unfold, not as a series of random events, but as a deliberate expression of your soul's purpose. So, what happens when you realign? The answer is simple. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Every person that enters your life, no matter how they appear, is a reflection of your own inner state. You begin to realize that everything that happens for you, not to you. And with this realization comes a deep sense of peace, for you understand that you are not a victim of life, but a co-creator. And this is the most empowering truth you will ever come to know. You have the power to create your reality. It is not your circumstances that shape you, but the way you respond to them. When you breathe deeply, when you release the old stories, when you realign with your soul, you open yourself up to the infinite possibilities that are available to you. You become the creator of your experience. You begin to live with purpose, with intention, and with a sense of divine direction. But this requires trust. Trust that the universe knows what you need before you even ask. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when it doesn't look the way you think it should. Trust that every experience, no matter how challenging, is part of your soul's evolution. And when you trust, you stop resisting, you stop pushing against the current, you stop trying to force life into a mold that is not meant for you. And in that space of trust, you allow life to move you, guide you, and shape you into the highest expression of yourself. Breathe, release, realign. In this simple practice lies the key to your transformation. It is not complicated. It is not something that requires years of study or self-improvement. It is simply a choice to let go of the illusions that you are not enough, that you are not worthy, that you are not deserving of all the good that life has to offer. It is a choice to align with the truth that you are already whole, already abundant, already free. And as you make that choice, you begin to live in a way that reflects the infinite love and power that resides within you. This is the gift that life offers you in every moment, the gift of choice. The choice to breathe deeply, to release what no longer serves you, and to realign with the truth of who you are. The choice to trust in the flow of life, to let go of the need for control, and to surrender to the wisdom of the soul. And as you do this, you will find that life becomes easier, more fulfilling, more joyful, and more aligned with your highest purpose. So, my friend, I invite you to take a deep breath with me now, to feel the life force that flows through you, to release all the doubts, all the fears, all the burdens that you've been carrying, to realign with your soul, with your true self. And as you do, know that you are not alone. The entire universe is supporting you. You are loved, you are enough, you are free. Breathe, release, realign, and know that you are exactly where you need to be. There comes a sacred turning point, quiet, unannounced, when you no longer crave escape because you have found sanctuary in your own presence. Not because life has become less demanding, but because your relationship to it is transformed. You begin to realize that peace is not the absence of pressure, it is the presence of clarity within it. And this clarity is born not from answers, but from stillness. A stillness so honest that it silences all false narratives with one whisper of truth. You were never lost, you were only distracted from the center. In this rediscovery, you feel a different kind of strength. Take root, not the kind that battles for survival, but the kind that blooms in surrender. Not the might that shouts, but the power that listens. You begin to trust the pauses between decisions, the soft intuition that rises without effort. And with each choice made from this place of inner listening, your life aligns not in some distant future, but right here, beneath your feet. What you once labeled as delays or detours are now seen as sacred recalibrations. The very things you thought were working against you have quietly been rerouting you toward deeper wholeness. There is wisdom hidden in the waiting, in the pauses that used to frustrate you. There is grace in the detours that protect you from destinations too small for your soul. Life you now see has always been more interested in your becoming than your arriving. As you return to this deeper way of being, you no longer seek to fill the silence with noise. The quiet becomes your teacher, revealing that many of your anxieties were born not from reality, but from the mind's habit of forecasting storms that never arrive. You begin to notice the way serenity arises when you stop asking life to match your plans and instead begin listening to what life itself is asking of you. In that listening, a softer rhythm emerges. You no longer wake to a to-do list of worthiness. You rise with reverence. You move not out of obligation, but out of alignment. You speak less to be understood and more to express the integrity of your spirit. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to remain rooted rather than react. Every challenge becomes a portal not to power over anything, but to power within everything. This inner anchoring changes the nature of your presence. Not in some performance of enlightenment, but in the effortless way your calm steadies the atmosphere around you. You become less interested in persuading the world and more committed to embodying truth. Your very existence becomes a quiet invitation. Come sit in your own soul for a while. You are safe here. And the world, without knowing why, begins to breathe easier around you. As you continue to move through life from this deeper alignment, urgency falls away. You no longer measure your worth by milestones or timelines. You know now that the most sacred unfolding cannot be rushed. That becoming is not a race, it's a revelation. And revelation does not arrive by force, but by faith. Faith in the unseen, faith in the whispers, faith in the unfolding architecture of your spirit's expansion. You stop chasing closure and start inviting openness. You stop clinging to outcomes and start honoring the process. You stop bargaining with life and start dancing with it. Because in this state of real union with your truth, you realize there is nothing to win and nothing to prove. There is only the beauty of participating fully, honestly, and consciously in the miracle of being alive. And perhaps the most radical shift of all is this: you begin to forgive yourself. Not just for the mistakes, but for the misunderstanding that you were ever broken to begin with. You no longer carry shame like a shadow. You walk forward in the light of compassion. You understand now that self-forgiveness is not an erasure of responsibility. It is the deepest form of responsibility to heal, to grow, and to stop making yourself smaller than the love that lives inside you. So let this moment be a new kind of vow, not a promise to change everything overnight, but a sacred willingness to stay awake, to be present, to honor the unfolding of your soul's unique rhythm. Let your life become less about what you're trying to fix and more about what you're learning to feel, to love, to witness without judgment. That is where the real alchemy lives. And with every breath that enters your body now, feel this deeper alignment settling in, not as a destination reached, but as a homecoming allowed. There's no need to chase healing. There's only the invitation to stay open to it, to become spacious enough for it to happen through you. Life does not need your perfection. It needs your participation, your willingness to show up with honesty and softness, your courage to walk the path barefoot, one step at a time toward truth. So walk on tenderly, boldly, without the burden of needing to understand everything. Walk not to escape where you are, but to meet more of who you are. And with each breath, with each quiet act of letting go, you will discover the path has been loving you forward all along. And now, as this path of remembrance draws near its quiet close, feel within you the stillness that has always been there like an ancient lake untouched by the winds of time. It does not demand attention. It does not cry out. It simply waits for your return. This stillness is your truth. Not what the world asked you to become, not what fear tried to sculpt, but the eternal presence that has always watched patiently as you wandered, knowing you would one day return not with shame, but with reverence. You do not arrive here empty-handed. You carry sacred lessons written in the ink of experience. You carry softened edges where once there were thorns. You carry an open heart, cracked not by loss, but by awakening. And through those cracks, light has entered, not the kind that blinds, but the kind that reveals. Light that does not burn away who you were, but blesses it, honors it, forgives it. You see now, even the detours had holy hands guiding them. Even your wounds had wisdom folded inside. You were never off course. You were never behind. You were simply being unraveled, gently, lovingly, until your soul could fit back into its rightful form. What grace then to see that all along the obstacles were teachers, the delays were sacred pauses, the heartbreaks were doorways. Each one broke something false apart. Each one led you deeper, not into despair, but into depth. Not into despair, but into truth. And what is that truth, really? It is not some grand philosophy. It is something you can feel, even when words fall short. It is the knowing that you are not separate from life, you are life. You are not a drop in the ocean, hoping to be accepted by the tide. You are the tide. You are not here to seek love, you are here to embody it. You are not a fractured soul trying to be repaired. You are a whole presence awakening from a long, forgetful sleep. So breathe with that truth now. Breathe in the peace that comes from no longer needing to chase. Breathe in the relief of no longer needing to perform. Breathe in the beauty of no longer trying to earn what was already yours. Your enoughness, your belonging, your divine place in the tapestry of existence. This is not something you achieve. This is something you allow. Release then, not just what was heavy, but what was hollow. Release the ideas that never truly fit, the beliefs that whispered you were too much or not enough. Release the rush to arrive and honor the sacredness of the unfolding. Release the habit of self-neglect disguised as productivity. Release the mask that smiles when your soul longs to speak. Let it fall. Let it all fall gently, like autumn leaves returning to the earth. And as everything false is laid to rest, you realign not through effort, but through remembrance. You realign by breathing into the space where your soul can finally stretch. You realign by walking your path with less armor and more presence. You realign by choosing grace when the old patterns call you back. You realign by honoring the truth, even when it trembles on your lips. Let this be your new rhythm, not striving, but listening, not forcing, but flowing, not waiting to be chosen, but knowing you are already chosen by life itself. Your existence is not a mistake. It is music, it is medicine, it is movement. And when you live from this place, you do not need to seek purpose, it begins to seek you. In the still corners of the day, may you find yourself softening. In the chaos of the world, may you become the calm. In the mirror, may you meet not a reflection of failure, but the eyes of someone who dared to return. And with each returning breath, may you remember, nothing outside of you holds the key. It is in your inhale, it is in your release, it is in the courage to realign again and again. So live gently now, not as someone racing toward healing, but as someone who is no longer hiding from it. Live boldly now, not as someone demanding to be seen, but as someone finally willing to see. Live fully now, not because you've figured it all out, but because you've stopped needing to. And when the world asks who you are, may your very presence answer, I am not who I was. I am not what happened. I am not the echo of my fears. I am the breath returning home. I am the space between the noise. I am the soul. Awake in my own name. Breathe. Release. Realign. And let your life, from this day forward, be the reflection of a soul finally free.